So that's on my radar. I'm seeing where it goes.
Yeah, I know things change so fast, and me personally, I've been burned so bad working with other artists, other companies. You know, like, gosh, back in, I think, 1990 or something, worked for a fantastic company, made a mistake and signed a contract for 20 years. And then Philips and Magnavox, they were working with people working on He-Man, Pee-wee's Playhouse. Well, they decided just to cut out the company I was with, so lost my job, and then I couldn't do art for nobody for 20 years.
Wow.
20 years I was in prison. Mad. But I said to myself, okay, when I get out of this 20-year window, I'm gonna make my books, and ain't nobody gonna be telling me what to do. Because I was there working with all these fun, great people. Sky's the limit, you know. Peter Grable's coming in, wanting to do a documentary with us, and you know, Disney's opening doors, and then you just get asked to the office. Well, we gotta let all y'all go, all of you, and we're gonna hold you to your contracts because people saw us as a threat. We were new artists, other artists coming in, so yeah, let's just kind of, you know. So when the 20 years was over, I said I'm gonna make my own comic books. I'm gonna do it myself, and that's why I'm so independent. Because I've been burnt.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm never gonna go there. No, you're under a contract. You cannot do artwork for nobody. But see, it wasn't necessarily mean because they're like, we're a new company. We want to make sure you don't leave us halfway through being famous, and that can happen. But then the company went. But when the company went under, you would think they would be nice and cut you loose, but no, they held me to that contract, and I couldn't even draw the street corners. So,
yeah, there was a story of when Lynn Johnston was signed by Andrews and McNeil to do For Better or For Worse in the late 70s. She had to sign a 20-year contract. Of course, the strip was a huge hit. But it was eventually ruled in court that violated the laws of certain states, which says you can't have contracts beyond a certain number of years. This was, I think, back in the 90s.
Right. That's about when I'm in Florida.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: if I won in court, they told me I'd be blacklisted, and I would still never get a job.
But I mean, why would you even be in court? The organization was gone. I mean, they're not trying to enforce it, but who can afford to sue you if they don't have a company?
Well, I mean, even though they went under, Philips still, one of the owners, they were still alive. And the idea of what that company was doing was compact interactive laserdisc art, which was revolutionary. It was going to change everything. And they liked that, so they wanted to cap it and not allow these people to do other things because they could like recreate that technology. So I was in that bubble. So every time I see somebody use Mapquest, I was there. When I see every time, you know, the digital comic book industry, I was there. I was there, part of that. But then I got canned for 20 years, and they had to can everybody to protect the idea of the technology so that they could do it with their own people. So it's a nasty complication.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm free now. I mean, I'm making my books. I'm going forward. I'm here at Dragon Con. You know, I'm a survivor.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, the upshot was that Lynn Johnston eventually got control of her own strip.
That's fantastic. I will say I never did my own original stuff on the job on my lunch breaks because they encouraged that so they could get other ideas because they would own it if you drew it inside that studio. So I would go home and do my work.
Right.
And if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I was the only guy that did that.
So how many people were in the position you were in?
I was a special effects animator. I had Ray Bornstein who worked on He-Man. We had the guy did all the Muppets for Pee-wee's Playhouse. We had artists coming in, and it was wild. It was explosive. It was exciting. And then when that just happened like that, we realized we were really an experiment to see if this was ready. Are the people ready? But at that time, nobody wanted to buy really computers. You know, I mean, you think of it now, it's incredible. But these guys, they would have a room this big, full of computers, mapping the entire planet. for the mapping system that we have today. And I was in there looking at that stuff,
Wow.
and they were like, one day, Troy, this is 1990, one day people will have these things that are portable, you know. We need artists to do all this stuff and all, but things happen. There's a lot of horror stories out there.
Wow, yeah.
But you know what? I didn't get bitter at any of these people. I didn't, because I don't believe doing it. I don't believe in doing that because that doesn't help nobody. I was just like, hey, I'll sit it out, get married, have kids, go to the beach. But I worked on my comic books during that time, knowing for 20 years I can't do nothing with it. But it takes 2 years for me to make one of these anyway. So
Right.
I just sat on it. But it would make me mad sometimes. I'd be like,
Yeah.
this just ain't freaking right.
Did
But
you,
yeah.
did you have any temptation to assume an alias?
Yeah. I had some friends that did it, and their make-believe names got famous. They did.
Oh, okay.
And then when certain things came in the copyright arena, they would want to use their real name to copyright it, but if they created this fictional name that the media used, it could get kind of complicated and messy. So I was like, you know, I'll make my books in a cave next to a little candle until I can, you know. So and that's why I was excited when the digital came around, because that was my savior right there, was digital. Because when that happened in the 90s, I couldn't foresee, you know, digital comic books. I was still thinking, I'm gonna have to do this paper. You know, so when digital came around, that allowed me to have my own revenge.
And you have this great catalog already.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I jumped on it. I jumped on it.
And for the collector, they're not having to worry about like, I gotta drive across town and root through a whole bunch of boxes to see if I can find a dingy, beat up.
Well, you know what's so crazy is the technology. I mean, you can now have a digital comic book in autograph. And it's sealed digitally on that thing. So it's wild what's happening. And they're talking about making virtual reality comic books that you can walk in. You know, and to change the page, you just walk across a line and you're in the scene. You can walk around. You can walk around with the characters. Open up a cabinet and find a secret, you know. So the virtual comic book world is going to explode in the next 3 years. It's going to be like just. But let me say this really quick. We've seen them. I know you've been tempted. Let me check time. I don't know. I know you've been probably tempted like I have, where a company will contact you and say, "We're going to take your comic book. We want to take your comic book to the next level." And they want to do kind of that semi-animation thing. I hate that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like there's a guy you go,
Yeah.
it's like, move!
Yeah.
To me, it's like animation,
Uh-huh.
because what happens is it kind of becomes limited animation,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a really bad limited animation.
Yeah.
But I did it. I think at first I think it kind of had some potential. You know, like if I wanted really billowing smoke, I could see that. But I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, have you
The guy sort of slides in from the side and there's one static plaque. It
Yeah.
must be a Poochie from The Simpsons. My planet needs me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, no, it doesn't.
They actually do the coloring.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite of those?
It is.
You know what? This one is sci-fi, huge.
Except the fact that it's
Really,
I color all
really
those
has some good stuff
but
already.
Oh yeah, that's the first one of a 3-part series, yeah.
Yeah, but it's its own individual story too, so you won't be like,
everything else is outside of my control. Which causes a problem at times. But thank you so much. Yeah.
all right, man, how you doing?
A few weeks ago, I had a
I would get this one because it's bigger. Whichever one you.